Last week we arrived in Copenhagen to not ideal weather, so we took on an indoor challenge to find the best of the best Danish pastry. Go check out part 1 to see how they ranked. This week, come rain or shine, we're diving deeper into Copenhagen and Danish culture. This is a city I've wanted to visit for so long. It's also one of the most expensive cities I've ever been to, so I want to know all the Danish quirks. I want to know all the secrets. I want to know if this city is worth being so pricey. Next stop. Lovely. Next stop on our rainy day adventure, we're going to the National Museum. It's obviously a well-known museum, but they have a bunch of advertisements for secrets of the lost Viking women. It's like Viking Sorceress, and that just drew us in. So
it shows how advertising really does work.
Marketing really popped off on this one, so we're gonna go check it out and see the Viking women. Just finished at the National Museum here in Copenhagen, and we literally were there for like 6.5, 7 hours, and we didn't even do the whole museum.
No.
We did our best. We got a lot of like the Danish story and the Danish history.
And the special exhibit.
We went to the special exhibit, which was incredible.
That was the whole reason we went.
Yeah.
Is they have these, oh, you said this, the posters.
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay. The advertising really drew us in, and let me tell you,
it didn't disappoint.
it delivered. Let's talk about that first. It was like really an interactive multimedia exhibit, which was so cool.
They had these headphones, but you put on and it automatically cued.
Are we going to the left?
Yeah.
So where were we? You put on a headset, the Viking Sorceress takes you through an audio multimedia visual experience through these different rooms. It like takes you through some of the legends of the Vikings, some of the legends of creation and things like that. And this part was incredibly well done because we were just saying how when you moved your head, her voice follows you. As you moved room to room, it would signal it. So you just had to walk through and listen to what they were saying, and it would signal you through different parts of the exhibit. It was one of the coolest like museum exhibits I've been to in a long time.
And because it just automatically went, it felt like she was in your head, which made her feel like really mystical and magical, which like set up the concept of them really well.
So well. So it's these, and it's starting to really rain. We're gonna find a spot. Mackenzie's so sad now because it started to rain.
Well, that's not the full story here.
We were gonna take the train, and then I was like, I want to walk.
You can't walk? Like, you can't walk? And I was like, I guess we can. It's just long, and it's like might start raining heavier.
Lo and behold, it starts to rain heavily, so we've taken shelter. Viking sorceresses, they're called the and they... What?
I just was like, were they called the...
Yeah, the vulva.
Yeah, I think that sounds better. Jonathan's like, the... I'm like, we're gonna get demonetized for this one.
Cut that out! So the vulva took us through. It was incredible. Then we went into the sort of like rest of this specialty Viking Sorceress exhibit. It was equally as magical because when you walked up to display cases with different artifacts or different parts of their history, the signal would be sent to your headset again. Instead of having to push a button on a typical audio guide, you just would like start to hear particular facts and stories where you were standing, which was super cool.
And this was more the historical side of it.
Yeah, went a little bit more into the food, the drink, the dress, everything from like the Viking history.
Should we keep walking while it's later?
Let's try it. I guess we're gonna keep getting further and further from the train though. Should we like see if it holds out?
Or should we make use? We're like 20 minutes away.
And then the rest of the museum, which, here it goes again. Okay, let's see what it does and when we're finished this. Because we're not even a block that way to go to the train.
Yeah.
If it's pouring. Yeah. The rest of the museum that took us a long time started in prehistory, like literally the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, through the Greeks, the Romans, all of Denmark's history basically, from the land that is here to the people and the culture as it evolved.
It was good. The prehistoric side was literally a whole floor because of like the water sea levels that are in Denmark. Certain times the water has been lower, so people are living on that, and then the water rises, and then all of that stuff like gets preserved and like fossilized. And so So there's like a lot of preservation of these ancient artifacts that in some other places are lost, right?
Yeah.
So it's like most museums, like national museums, have some little prehistory section, but this was definitely the most encompassing, and definitely, besides maybe the Viking like special exhibit where we spent the most time, I really learned anything about Jonathan, which doesn't happen often after 11 years and all of our time together, that he like has such an interest of this prehistoric time. So I think you were like living your best life.
It strikes such a great chord in my mind and in my imagination, just because it's so fascinating to think about a time that we know so little about. I think this like leads to one of my other points too. It was really had a good chat about how it's interesting going through museums about this type of thing, where there's so many assumptions being made and so many like deductions about assumptions,
yeah.
so many things that the historians and the scientists have to deduce from the artifacts and what they know. I love to imagine like, what was it like to be part of this ancient culture, or what was it like to be part of these people that we know so little about?
And at the museums they would literally be like, perhaps it means this, or they would put something like bear ?
Yeah,
because they're like, we're not really sure, we're assuming it's a bear.
yeah.
Even there was this really cool body that they found in like 1920 that was like fully preserved, like a bog person kind of vibe. They really were able to get a lot from it historically, but also there's like a lot of questions up, and they talked in the videos about how this is such an important historical piece, but there's lots of disagreements and like things that maybe like way in the future we'll be able to, like, as science and technology progresses, we'll be able to talk about. But for now, it's kind of like, this researcher thinks this researcher thinks that, and like the more we learn, the more questions we have. So I found like that really interesting.
Yeah, it was a fascinating part of the museum.
And I think it leads to a fun Danish thing. A part of Danish culture, I feel like Jonathan can like put the word on the screen because I'm not going to try to pronounce it, that because there's so much of this
metal detectoring culture and community,
find these like ancient artifacts, and it's been since like, I think it was like the 1700s,
yeah,
that it was like a part of Danish culture, that it doesn't belong to you if you find this, it belongs to like Denmark, first the king and now just like Denmark. So they have like a real like honor and a real duty in the culture to like hand this in. And then because people were like farmers and stuff were just wandering around it, it became like almost like a hobby. So now there's like a huge like online hobbyist movement of people who like take their metal detectors out into the farm field and like try to find ancient objects, and they showed like different images and like stories of people who this is their hobby and like what they've found. And I just found that like so quirky.
Yeah, so unique.
They're not doing it to like find stuff for themselves or find stuff to make money, really. It's like they're doing it to find stuff to like contribute to like Danish history, and really doing it for like the thrill of the find, and then knowing that like there's a little part of history that's like more complete because of an object that they found, and like to give to the people. And most of those objects are here at the National Museum, and that's like, I don't know, it feels so selfless. I don't know, I really just found that stroke a chord that I was like, oh,
it's a unique part of the culture and really reflects how they are working towards like a singular purpose and a greater good, and even like that excavation of history and that like constant discovery of history and like how history evolves as you discover more and more. I feel like it explains a lot about their culture, just that fact.
And we've seen like trust in their society is a big thing. So even like the National Museum, you bought a ticket and then it was never checked, because they're just trusting that like you're going to do the right thing and buy a ticket. Same with security is minimal in Denmark. They'll like leave the baby outside to be watched. Trusting society to like do the right thing and individual people to do the right thing, because we know that makes society better.
So many people at the museum were leaving their bags at the front as well, just like unlocked and unchecked. And the rest of the museum was like continued on through history and continued on through the timeline of the world, basically from a Danish perspective, all the way up to the Danish colonies. They explored things from different perspectives, from like within the Danish culture and from within these cultures that were colonized. And it was a really fascinating part of the history that they were just very open about, which was refreshing to see as well.
Yeah, and it was quite a big segment.
Yeah, it was sort of like the whole main second floor. And in typical museum fashion, I feel like we could have spent so much longer there, but it was such a good use of the day, so worth the money to go in.
Because the weather was like this.
Yeah, we were gonna do a walking tour, but decided that we were gonna do this instead, and it was just so worth it. I had such a great time.
It was a walking tour of sorts.
It was a walking tour through history, baby, and through many centuries. Many centuries.
Watch our Groningen Museum video where we talk about like how curation can really like impact a museum, and this was a museum that displayed that.
Yeah.
Lighting, sound, displays, the way it was laid out, all were like really impactful.
We're gonna go grab some food because I think we're both starving after all that learning and all that time. And there is a restaurant we heard about where you can get custom mini pizza flights, so we are gonna check that out. A way that Danish culture is similar to Canadian culture is when you smile at people, as we do all the time in Canada, people will actually smile back. It is literally catching us off guard because we've been in countries for so many weeks now where people, you'll smile at them and they'll like look at you strange because that is a bit strange, and we're just out here being Canadian.
Are initiating the smile.
Yes.
And I'm like
It's refreshing, and it's definitely something that Danish people and Canadian people have in common. We're smiling at strangers. We're gonna try Smørrebrød, the typical Danish dish of rye bread with specific toppings on top. We've heard a lot about this, so I'm really excited to try. Apparently it's very hearty, and mine has salmon salad on top. I forgot for a second. Oh, that's lovely. The bread has a really nice chew to it. Definitely tastes like a hearty bread. It's sort of chewy and thick, a little bit seedy. Mine has the salmon salad on top, which is very light, very fresh, but still has a good creaminess to it, a little bit of citrus and lemon in there. Overall, I think that's a really lovely bite. It kind of tastes like a tuna salad sandwich, but make it extremely gourmet, make it extremely Danish.
I got the fish fillet one, and this one was like pretty much sold out, and it had dill. So I was like, it has dill. Clearly people are loving it.
Two good signs.
Gotta get the lemon on it. Our tour guide was saying they're really hearty and to like only get like 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're really hungry. And I sure hope so, because this was 25 Canadian dollars for one.
For one.
So we're on the slightly more expensive one because we did fish, but still 25 Canadian dollars for this little thing.
Welcome to Copenhagen.
I need to get out of this country. I can't afford to be here anymore. Okay. It's got a chew. Okay, it is delicious. The rye bread is really dense, way denser than you would consider rye bread like in Canada. But the flavor balance is really awesome. Like flaky fish, this dill, there's like a mustard caper sauce on top, so it's like light, you know, it's like that show that's like salt, acid, fat, like it really's got that whole thing going on, and it is delicious.
Worth it.
I would say this is like, of all the Danish food we've tried, this is my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah, like I would do this again.
Worth the small fortune.
I don't know about that, but it is really delicious. But if you can get a meal for under $20 in Copenhagen, let us know. We haven't found it yet.
So, we went on 2 walking tours today. This morning we went on...
Your hair does look nice in the camera.
Thank you. It looks very, like, blown out.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Like,
We went on... Oh, thank you. We went on one this morning that was the highlights of Copenhagen. And this afternoon we went on what they called a hippie tour. It was really through a region of Copenhagen, or an area of Copenhagen called Christiania. Christiania.
Is that it?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was Christiania.
No.
Well, tell us in the comments.
And we were able to explore the Christiania area after the tour. It's really interesting because the tour guide actually had family members who lived there, and he really specifically said to us, I'm going to talk to you about it, I'm going to tell you about it, but I'm not going to take you as a tour into the neighborhood just because they get a lot of tourists there every year, and he didn't want to be more touristic groups in there.
Yeah, and like it's one thing if like tourists go walk around and explore an area versus a tour group like traipsing through an area. And tour groups, because there's like 20 of you, 30 of you, 40 of you, you block things. You just do.
Yeah.
So I can understand and honestly kind of respect it.
I really, after we just got out from walking in the region, I keep saying region, we just got out from walking in the area, and honestly it made me respect him and the tour like more in a way, because he was so aware of not
I'm like filming and crossing the street.
Not smart. Dangerous. It actually made me respect him and the tour like even more in a way. The fact that he had that awareness and the fact that he wanted us to like experience it for ourselves, and just was like aware of that for the people who actually live there. It's a really, really interesting neighborhood. There's 1,000 residents there. 200 of those are kids, and they have their own school. They have their own hospital called the Health House. There's a bar. There's a cafe. There's some little shops that sell art and things like that. And even souvenirs.
Interesting now, because I think it was started in like the 60s or
71, I think.
71. So is now like there's like 3 generations. The original hippies that started it, the people who grew up there like under those first hippies, like probably moved there as a child or were living there in the beginning of it and kind of grew up there. And then those kids at this point.
The Gen Z version.
Yes.
Are now living there.
Yes. So it is even in that way kind of interesting now. You have 3 generations and they all kind of have slightly different takes and slightly different visions for like what they want it to be and what it should be. Even you can just see that with even like the tourism, because it's clearly now like a huge tourist attraction
and a pull for tourists. Like there's lots of people clearly coming to explore and coming to like take photos, coming to see what it looks like, coming to see what the vibe is. Some
people I'm sure are really for that and love it, and there was merch available and like even like photo opportunities, and then there's I'm sure some people who like hate that, you know. So it'd be interesting to kind of sit in on a town hall meeting and see how they all feel about that.
Yes, it was really interesting hearing him talk about the different generations. His grandmother was part of that first generation, and hearing him talk about things like how they make decisions as a town hall, and even all of the information that he was able to give us was very much like gathered through his experience talking to people there, partying with them and hanging out with them. And it's hard to find specific information on the area
because it's kind of a closed community.
100%.
And I think the most interesting part is that it has gone through a real change very recently, because there's a place called Pusher Street. You can imagine what's going to go on there. It had become quite dangerous in the last like kind of 15-20 years, increasingly more so. And they recently have really done like a huge effort to like clean it up. You can walk through the area, you can tell what was Pusher Street, even though it doesn't look like the way it maybe did in March, because the cleanup just started in April, because it like the sidewalk is crumbling, and because there were a lot of rules there because of this like Pusher Street, such as like no photos, no videos,
no running.
I'm sure those were some of the big ones, but he said there were tons of rules where now that's all lifted, which also I'm sure has changed it.
And changed the vibe, changed the culture for sure, which I'm sure some people are more for and some are more against. But it was really cool to go see. You said it really reminded you of like a small town feel. And it feels completely different than the rest of Copenhagen, as you can imagine.
Like a small BC town, where it's like a hippie community, but it's like closed, lots of art, a little bit of political protesting in the art.
And so much art even on the houses. The houses themselves in some ways were like art pieces, which was really beautiful to see. Lots of nature close by. There was like a river running through.
A lake.
Yeah, really, really beautiful in some parts of it as well. It was just such a unique contrast to the rest of the city of Copenhagen, and so unique of a place.
Ever been to Toronto? To me, it looked like exactly like walking through Kensington Market. Even the way there was like you walk through the center, you go, oh, a little city there. Like you know, like it very much had a Kensington Market vibe. Overhyped is not the right word, because it's not like we were going there for the hype. It's like the interesting story and stuff like that. But it's like not, I think, as crazy as people make it out to be. And it maybe also is that way because of like the recent changes since April, but also the places we've been. Like we've lived in Amsterdam.
We've lived in Toronto.
Even like the way the businesses like make their signage and stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you had shown me a photo and been like, this is Kensington Market, I'd be like, yeah, it is. Do you recommend going? I think you need a tour to kind of get more of that context and those stories.
And the history, both of its starting and the current history. It's also relevant and it's also interesting to know as you walk through, for sure. Super cool. I love Copenhagen, but my wallet does not. Like, I have questions. How do people actually live here? You go out for coffee, you go out and get 2 coffees, 2 pastries, it's 40 Canadian dollars. You go to dinner and find like a cheaper dinner option, it's $100 for 2 people, 100 Canadian dollars. Even in museums, everything. You get 2 glasses of wine, 35 Canadian dollars. I love it, don't get me wrong. Like, this city is amazing, it's so beautiful. The people are so jolly and friendly, and I've done some really cool things, but I have so many questions. How do people actually live here? Let me know. As I ponder this and other things, like, how is this dog more fashionable than I'll ever be? There's one thing I know for sure at this point, and that's Copenhagen is an expensive city, but visiting here is magical. There's so many cool things to do, world-class museums, unique neighborhoods. Even visiting here for the quirky Danish culture alone is worth it. I can't think of a better last stop on the European leg of our adventure. We're running to catch our connecting flight. We got about 15 minutes. Hopefully we get there. I thought I lost Mackenzie, but she's right there. So, we went on it. It's so shaky.
Not if you have a stable hand. Okay, I believe you.
Do you? As if she's fearing for her life.
The theater.
Shut the hell up. Cut the cameras down.